Okay, so the number of injury claims per month is given by n, where this is the probability mass function of n, and n is greater than or equal to 0. We have to determine the probability of at least one claim during a particular month, given that there have been at most 4 claims during that month. Okay, so probability, okay, there's at least one claim given that at most 4 claims हो गई हैं. So ये conditional probability apply करेंगे हम. For the numerator, पहले for the denominator, we have to take the probability कि n is less than or equal to 4. And for the numerator, it's a intersection of n is greater than 1 and n is less than 4. So उसके बाद we can plug in. Okay, we'll use this function and यहाँ पे हम n की values 1 से लेके 4 तक लेंगे for the numerator and then 0 से लेके 4 तक लेंगे for the denominator. So numerator is, first we plug in 0, we get, okay, 1/6. Sorry, पहले 1 plug in करेंगे, then we'll plug in 2 in place of n, and we will get 1/12. अच्छा, और अगर किसी को भी कोई confusion हो तो you can just stop me and ask. उसके बाद we'll do for 3, which is 1/20. And then for 4, it is 1/30. This is the numerator. Same thing in the denominator, but इसके अलावा 0 is also included because n less than 4 includes 0 as well. So in that case, we will get 1/2, I think. And then we'll just, बाकी सबका we know 1, 2, 3, 4 का. So we'll solve this and we will get numerator same कर लेंगे and then we'll get, yeah, 20/50, which will be 2/5. Okay. Okay, so I guess we can move on to the next one. This is the next question. I'll give you guys a minute or two and then we'll discuss. Okay, so let x1 be a Bernoulli random variable with parameter 0.7 and x2 is a Bernoulli random variable with parameter 0.8. Okay, this is the PMF for both of them. And okay, this is y. What is the mean value of x1? Okay, for part A, we have to find the mean value, which is the expected value of x1. Okay, so expected value may what we do is okay, we take the value of x1 and the probability of that value of x1 for all x1 की values. यहाँ पे x1 will take only two values, either 1 or 0. So it will take 1 with a probability of 0.7 and it will take 0 with a probability of 0.3. So this just becomes 0 and we get 0.7. For part B, what is the variance of x2? ठीक है. For x2. For this, you guys know the formula. It's e of x2 whole square, sorry, not whole square, minus for this part again, हम वैसे ही निकालेंगे. पहले हम x2 की values जो हैं we know कि 0 और 1 हो सकती है. तो पहली value 1 हो सकती है. 1 का square is 1. Probability of that is 0.8 plus दूसरी value 0 हो सकती है and उसकी probability is 0.2 minus वापस से 1 into 0.8 0 into 0.2 but इस चीज का whole square. So we'll get 0.8 minus 0.8 whole square, which is 0.8 minus 0.64. And I think we will get 0.16. Okay. I'll just erase this because मैंने नीचे for part C, D, and E space नहीं है. So I hope इसमें कोई problem नहीं थी. And if there is, please let me know. Okay, for part C, what are the possible values y can take? We know कि y is x1 plus x2. So y can either, do you guys know what values y can take? बहुत easy है ये. Can take 0 if both x1 or x2 and x2 both are 0, तो y 0 हो गया. It can take 1 if either x1 is 0 and x2 is 1, or x1 is 1 and x2 is 0. And it can take 2 if x1, yeah, Sanai, all right. If x1 and x2 both are 1, so it can take these three values. So y 0, 1, 2. And then we have to sketch the PMF and CDF of y. ठीक है. PMF is probability mass function. अच्छा पहले तो because okay, we'll do this later. हम इसकी PMF निकालेंगे. When will y take 0? Y will take the value of 0 when x1 is 0 into x2 is 0. Then y will take, okay, पहले हम इसको solve कर लेते हैं. We know कि x1 0 होता है with probability 0.3 and x2 0 होता है with probability 0.2. So we get 0.06. Then y can be 1 in two cases. If x1 is 1 and x2 is 0, plus x1 is 0 and x2 is 1. Again, we know कि x1 1 होता है probability 0.7 के साथ and x2 0 होता है with 0.2 की probability. And we add 0.8 into 0.3. Yeah. So we'll get 0.38, I think. You guys can check if I'm wrong. And then I'm going to do it here for y2, we'll have x1 is 1 and multiply x2 is 1. So we get 0.7 into 0.8, which is 0.56. Okay, so we'll draw the PMF for y. On the horizontal axis, we'll take y, and on the vertical axis, we'll take the probability, the PMF. So I can take the values 0, can take the value 1, and can take the value 2. 0, it will take with a probability of 0.06. So we can just draw a line, and yahan tak it's 0.06. And then 1 is with the probability 0.38, and then 2 is with the probability 0.56. This is the PMF for y, and I think we also have to draw the CDF. CDF is the cumulative for isme we just take the value that is less than and equal to. So again for y, we can have the value 0, 1, 2. We know कि y less than 0 जो है we won't have any probability वहाँ पे because y can take the value 0, 1 and 2. So we'll just have this line on the horizontal axis. And then at 0, there's a jump and the value becomes 0.06. उसके बाद, since it's discrete, so there's no continuous thing and we just go till 2 and 1, sorry. And then y takes the value 1 less than or equal to 1. So we add 0.06 and 0.38. And I think we get 0.44. So yahan pe we get the second jump, which is 0.44. And we have a line and it's stable till 2. And then 2 y less than or equal to 2 may we have all the values y can take, and we have to add previous 3 probabilities and we'll get 1. So this is 1 and this is our CDF for y. So it's a staircase. Okay, and then I think the last question is, what is the expected value of y? Okay, for this part E, we know that y is x1 plus x2. So expected value of y is expected value of x1 plus x2. So expectation जो है हम linearly लगा लेंगे अगर इसके अंदर कोई भी a plus, if a and b are variables, so a plus b भी होता, so we would go like we go here e x1 plus e x2. So expected value of x1 हम लोग part a में निकाल चुके थे, which I have mistakenly erased, but I think it was 0.7. Yep. And then expected value of x2 t, I think 0.8. Yep. So we get 1.5. This is the expected value of y. Otherwise, if you guys want to, since we already have the PMF of y, we could have done it the way we did it for x1 and x2. Okay, so we'll move on to the third question, and you guys can have a minute to attempt it, and then हम लोग start कर लेंगे. And अगर अभी भी किसी को भी कोई भी चीज़ में problem है तो please ask me. So guys, if any of you have done it, so can you tell me how should we go about it? If you want to, and I'll attempt it. Okay, so it has been determined that 5% of drivers checked at a road stop show traces of, okay, 5% for alcohol. So we have probability A for alcohol and 0.05. And 10% of the drivers checked do not wear seat belts. So 0.1. In addition, it has been observed that the two infractions are independent from one another. If the officer stops 5 drivers at random, okay, stopping 5 drivers at random, calculate the probability that exactly 3 of the 5 drivers have committed any one of the two offenses. ठीक है, since कोई भी offense हो सकता है, either not wearing the seat belt or they have traces of alcohol in their system. So we will take the union of A and S पहले to get the probability कि इन दोनों में से कोई भी चीज़ हो सकती है. So इसका formula we know कि PA plus PS. And since यहाँ पे mentioned है कि the events or both these things observations are independent from one another. So PA intersection S. And we know probability of A is 0.05 plus 0.1 minus, अच्छा we know कि independent होते हैं तो it just becomes PA into PS. So that's what we do here, and we get 0.05 into 0.1. So we get the probability 0.145. ठीक है? Now we'll use this and find out the probability that exactly 3 of the drivers out of 5 have committed any of the offenses. So we have 5C3, and this is the probability that they have committed either of the two. So 0.1453, and then 1 minus 0.145 square. This I think is 0.855, and we'll get the answer 0.0223. The probability that x is equal to 3 if x is the number of drivers who have committed any of the two offenses. This is for part 1. For part 2, we have to calculate the probability that at least one of the drivers checked has committed at least one of the two offenses. ठीक है, so part 2 में x should be greater than or equal to 1. So इसके लिए we can just go 1 minus x is less than 1, which means x is 0. So the people that have been checked, उनमें से किसी ने भी कोई भी offense नहीं किया हुआ है. So that's 1 minus 5c 0 into 1 minus 0.145, which is again 0.855 power 5. And we'll get the value 0.543 for this. Okay. I'm gonna move ahead to the fourth question then. And I'll give you guys a minute. Okay, Zara. So इस question में हम जो हम लोगों को चेक कर रहे हैं, they could have done any of the two crimes. तो हमको probability चाहिए थी कि either they have done A or they have done like they have alcohol in their system or they are not wearing their seat belt or maybe दोनों चीजों के लिए they have been checked and they are guilty. So that's why we wanted to have a probability जो हम plug in कर सकें to find through binomial. तो हमें पहले वो probability निकालनी थी कि is any of these two or both of them. That's why we first used union to get that probability, and then we used that probability to find out of 5 only 3 have done it. Okay. Okay, guys. So a pharmaceutical lab states that a drug causes negative side effects in 3 of every 100. Okay, so we have a probability for negative side effects. So we can say NSE, I guess. It's 3 out of 100, which is 0.03. To confirm this affirmation, another laboratory chooses 5 people at random who have consumed the drug. So we know number of independent trials or number of people in this case are 5. What is the probability of the following events? 1, at least 2 experience side effects. So if X is the number of people who experience side effects, then we want to find out X is greater than or equal to 2 because at least 2 है. So okay, and we also know that now X जो है वो is distributed through a binomial where n is 5, and probability of success, which is the probability of negative side effects, is 0.03. So this can be written as 1 minus probability x is less than 2. So we get 1 minus probability, okay, either x is 0 or x is 1. So for x is 0, out of the 5 people, none of them have negative side effects. So we get 1 minus 0.03, which is 0.97 power 5, plus 5c1. Out of the 5 people, only 1 has negative side effects, so 0.03, and then 1 minus 0.03 to the power 4. And we'll plug this in. We will get 0.00847. This is the probability. Then we have, what is the average number of patients that the laboratory should expect to experience side effects if they choose 100 patients at random? ठीक है, average number of patients. So you know that they're asking for the expected value of x. And we know that binomial mein, the expected value is n independent trials into probability of success. And n here is 100. If they choose 100 patients at random, that's why 100. And then probability of success is 0.03, which gives us 3. So they'll need on average 3 people. They should expect they'll have side effects if they choose 100 people. Okay, then we have question 5. Okay guys, also the meeting will end in 10 minutes. So I'll try कि हम जल्दी से last 2 questions कर लें. And if it doesn't, you guys can rejoin, or if only last question रहता है तो I'll upload it and you guys can email me if there's a problem. But I'll try कि हम दोनों कर लें. Okay, so for question number 5, you guys can do it with me, I guess. And agar you guys have to ask something, yeah, answer something, please, you guys can speak up or comment in the chat box. The number of industrial injuries per working week in a particular factory is known to follow a Poisson distribution. Okay, so we'll take the number of industrial injuries per working week in a particular factory as X. So X follows a Poisson distribution with the mean 0.5, so lambda, which is 0.5. Find the probability that in a particular week there will be no accident. So X is 0. And we know for Poisson, the formula is E minus lambda X over X factorial. So X0 may we will get E minus 0.5 and then 0.5 to the power 0, 0 factorial. Our answer will be E minus 0.5. Okay, for A1. Then for A2, in a particular week, there will be less than 2 accidents. So it is X is less than 2, which means X is 0 or 1. So we get X is 0 or X is 1. For this part, we already have from the above part this value plus E minus 0.5 will follow this formula into 0.5 to the power 1 over 1 factorial, which will again give us 0.5 into E minus 0.5, and we get 3 over 2 e minus 0.5, which is 0.9098. For part 3, we have more than 2 accidents. Okay, so x is greater than 2, which is the same as 1, x is less than or equal to 2. So we already know that it's 1 minus either x is 0 or x is 1 or x is 2. So for these two हम part 2 में निकाल चुके हैं and we just have to find for this one. So we'll get 1 minus 3 over 2 e minus 0.5, which is for x is 0 and x is 1. And then minus for x2 we have e minus 0.5, 0.5 square over 2 factorial. You guys can plug this in the calculator, and I think, wait, I'll also check. Okay, I think we'll get 0.0144. We're done with part A. For part B, we have to find out the probability that in a 3 weeks period, there will be no accidents. Okay. So ये जो हमें lambda दिया हुआ था 0.5, it was for a week. So अब 3 weeks हो गया, तो we will have to multiply lambda by 3 to get the lambda for 3 weeks. So we'll have 0.5 into 3, which is 1.5. And now in 3 weeks, there will be 0 accidents. So we'll have e to the power minus 1.5 into 1.5 to the power 0 over 0 factorial, and we'll get e minus 1.5, which is 0.223. इसमें अगर कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है या कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं है तो आई विल मूव टू द लास्ट क्वेश्चन and you guys can ask. Then we have this. Then we'll try doing this together. The number of times that a person contracts a cold in a given year is a Poisson random variable with parameter lambda 5. Suppose that a new wonder drug based on larger quantities of vitamin C has just been marketed, reduces the Poisson parameter to this for 75% of the population. For the other 25, the drug has no appreciable effects on cold. If an individual tries the drug for a year and has 2 colds in that time, how likely is it that the drug is beneficial for him or her? Okay, so this is Poisson distribution, we know, because parameter diya hua and they've mentioned, and also yahan pe we are given something. If an individual tries the drug for a year and has 2 colds in that time, this is given to us, so we have a conditional probability also. Okay, so we have to find the probability that the drug is beneficial given that a person has had 2 colds in a year. So we get probability. Okay, तो यहाँ पे the 2 colds thing is given. So अगर drug beneficial है तब भी 2 cold हो सकते हैं for 75% of the population. लेकिन अगर beneficial नहीं भी है तब भी 2 cold हो सकते हैं for the 25% of the population. ठीक है, so we have to consider both the scenarios. So we get 2 colds हुए थे because drug beneficial था, and this is for only the 3/4 of the population. This is okay, yeah, it's mentioned here 75% of the population के लिए the drug was beneficial and 2 हुए थे उनको colds. And then for the other 25% of the population, अगर उनको 2 cold हुए भी थे, but ये भी हो सकता था कि the drug was not beneficial and सिर्फ उनको 2 cold हुए, drug had no effect in that. So that's for the 25% of the population, which is 1/4. And then in the numerator, we want okay, it was 2 cold way because it was beneficial, which we know is the case only for the 75% of the population. So we multiply it by the number of population, the percentage of population, जिसके लिए ये वाला scenario holds. Now we'll apply Poisson. So we know कि जिन लोगों के लिए beneficial हुआ है उनका lambda has reduced to lambda is equals to 3. So we get e minus 3 into 2 cols hai. So square over 2 factorial. And that is for the 3/4 of the population, which is 75% of the population. And then same thing for this part, at least we get in the denominator. Guys, if the meeting finishes, please, if you guys have any questions, since we're about to be done, just email me and I'll try to explain it to you, or we can just have another Zoom meeting if you guys prefer. Then for people जिनके लिए beneficial नहीं है, फिर भी सिर्फ 2 दफा कोल्ड हुआ है, lambda is still 5. So we have minus 5 square because 2 cols, 2 factorial, and this is for 1/4 of the population. And if we solve this, we'll get our answer for this question.